Hi, welcome back to one of my vlogs. Today, I'm going to be talking about the 2021 Canadian Pat Mills film, The Retreat. This film follows a couple getting tricked into going to an Airbnb where gay couples are kidnapped and killed on video by a group of men. After the couple, Renee and Valerie, are captured, Renee is held in a shed away from everyone else. She tries to connect with the wife of one of the kidnappers, hoping that she can help. However, she is very much on the side of the kidnappers and begins insulting her. After some time, she is able to escape from her restraints and make her way around the property. As she does, she witnesses the murder of a man Valerie is friends with. She is then able to rescue Valerie, and their process of escape and revenge begins. They make their way through the property and take out their killers one by one. After killing them all, they finally make their way back to safety and hitchhike away. This is technically a slasher film, but contains very few of the classic tropes. We have a final couple instead of a final girl, which is pertinent to the concept of togetherness and love that the film seeks to comment on. We also don't have one killer, but instead have multiple mass killers who use an axe as their weapon of choice. This slasher also breaks the common trope of the victims being high school or college age folks by making them in their late 20s to early 30s. As far as signature kills go, the film has very few, consistently using the axe as their main form of murder. There is an interesting layer to this story in that the villains are hunters. They dress in hunter's camo and use things such as bear traps to capture their victims. This is opposed by Renee, who also grew up hunting. This allows her to outsmart the killers and hunt them back at the end of the movie. This film is very queer. It is all about the intense hatred and violence that queer folks experience. It utilizes the concepts of far-right online hate groups as the villains, something that we see on the rise in the country. This film came out in 2021, a time where videos of hate crimes being shared was incredibly prevalent, as we were just coming out of COVID, as well as the massive Black Lives Matter protests in response to the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, the former having been filmed. This culture of filmed violence was a new concept at the time. Having all the main characters be queer allows for a powerful revenge story within this context. It allows for the script to be flipped and for the folks who experience this trauma and violence to feel vindicated. We see the camera literally be turned around and pointed at the killers at the end of the film. As for what I think about the movie, I think it's pretty basic. I liked some of the main performances, but other than that, it was kind of boring, and I felt like there could have been a lot more interesting commentary with the main characters and villains. However, I do like the overall concept that they're trying to get at. While watching the movie, I couldn't help but feel the movie was incredibly derivative. One could argue that these are homages to other slasher films, such as Renee and Valerie stopping at the gas station, filled with their soon-to-be serial killers, being very reminiscent of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. However, this ends up just feeling lazy. I also think the pacing is way off. The opening is solid, but very standard slasher opening. The opening is a solid, but very standard slasher opening, showing two characters with loose connections to the plot getting killed off. But from there, things feel very disjointed. It's not long after arriving at the cabin that things start to go wrong. I think spending time building tension and allowing the killers to be more mysterious would have lended itself to the story, as opposed to spending most of the film getting Renee to escape. In addition, more time could have been spent on the villains. They feel very two-dimensional and uninteresting. Making them even more campy and cartoonishly evil, I think, would have been much more effective, especially for a slasher film. In addition, obviously showing who the killers are at the very start of the film creates no suspense at all and left me feeling very disinterested and dissatisfied. I think that this sentiment is reflected in its reception. The film has an average of 2.5 stars across the board, and I think this accurately reflects the film. I think overall, due to its lack of interesting content, boring villains and kills, and lackluster performances, this film ends up falling very flat. I would have liked to see a lot more, and I think a lot more could have been done. In the end, it's just another slasher film. I don't think that anyone really needs to see it. I don't think it does anything super out there. However, if you're interested in the genre, maybe give it a watch. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.